Good evening, and welcome to latest Global News TV. I'm Daniel Brown, bringing you the most important stories from around the world. Analyzing the budget cuts to the Los Angeles Fire Department. Introduction. The recent wildfires in Los Angeles have devastated entire neighborhoods, sparking widespread debate over the adequacy of the city's fire department funding. Amidst public scrutiny, including sharp criticism from prominent figures like Los Angeles Times owner Patrick Soon-Shiong, a detailed review of the budgetary landscape was a complex financial situation that goes beyond surface-level numbers. The budget overview, facing declining tax revenues and rising operational expenses, Mayor Karen Bass approved a budget for the Los Angeles Fire Department, LAFD, that was $23 million less than the previous fiscal year. Key reductions included the elimination of 73 vacant civilian positions and a $7.9 million cut in firefighter overtime funding. Let's dive into the footage.
Let's go to Bob DeCastro because he was where city officials were holding a news conference earlier this morning, giving updates on this fire and answering some tough questions, especially directed to Mayor Karen Bass. Bob, what did she say?
Well, she was not at that press conference yesterday, as you may remember, because she was returning from a trip out of the country. She was in Africa, and many had questioned why she was not here when this crisis broke out, when everyone knew, according to the National Weather Service, that this was going to be a life-threatening and destructive windstorm. Well, when asked specifically by a reporter, in his words, was a lack of preparation and a lack of rapid response, she simply said that she is simply focused on saving lives and property, and she did not go beyond that. She didn't say anything else. I asked her specifically about the criticism that she slashed the LA Fire Department budget by more than $17 million. Some rank-and-file firefighters have said that they're weary, that they are stretched too thin, and that impacted the firefight. Here's what she had to say. Can you address the criticism now over the budget issue and the slashing, $17 million slashing?
You know, I think if you go back and look at the reductions that were made, there were no reductions that were made that would have impacted the situation that we were dealing with over the last couple of days. And then there was a little bit of confusion because money was allocated to be distributed later on, which was actually going to support salaries and other parts of the fire department that were distributed a little later. So I think it's most important to understand that we were in tough budgetary times. Everybody knew that, but that the impact of our budget really did not impact what we've been going through over the last few days. Again, back to the unprecedented windstorm, wind at such ferocity that we haven't seen in years.
I will tell you, a member of the mayor's staff did approach me after the press conference and presented me with a couple of articles which seemed to suggest that the budget was actually increased for the LA Fire Department during that time. And they said that the numbers were interpolated or interpreted a different way. But I did speak with LAFD Chief Crowley, who did affirm that there were cuts, but she said that they tried to mitigate some of those cuts by making those cuts in what she called non-essential services. You do talk to rank and file, and many of them do say there was a $17 million cut, and it did affect them. On another note, I do want to point out, Roxanne, Sandra, that a lot of news came out of here. One of the big data points I want to tell you about is the 20 people who were arrested because of looting in these fire zones. And I did talk to LA County Sheriff Luna, Chief Luna, and he does tell me that they are increasing and stepping up patrols in that area. He says that as you approach some of the stops before you get into these fire zones, that they are going to start screening people a little bit more acutely. They're going to make sure that only essential people go into these fire zones. And they say if you are illegally trespassing in these areas, he says you will be arrested. He went on to say that they are exploring the possibility of curfews, of legal curfews in these fire zones. That's something that we could see in the near future. And he also told me that they're looking at the possibility of getting the National Guard to come out here and help them police these areas.
Despite these reductions, the allocated $819 million supported the addition of 3 new firefighting academy classes and the acquisition of new equipment. However, this initial budget did not account for pending firefighter salary negotiations. According to Councilman Bob Blumenfield's office, it is common practice for anticipated pay raises to be allocated separately during negotiations. Once a new contract was finalized in November, the adjusted fire department budget for the fiscal year increased by $53 million compared to the previous year. Operational challenges. Despite the eventual budget increase, the LAFD faces significant challenges. In a memo to the Fire Commission, Chief Kristen M. Crowley highlighted the operational strain caused by the reduced overtime budget. Key programs, including air operations and disaster response, heavily rely on overtime hours, making them vulnerable to diminished effectiveness. Additionally, the loss of civilian staff has placed further responsibilities on firefighters, diverting their focus from primary duties. In a broader context, Chief Crowley underscored the department's long-standing resource constraints. Despite a 5-fold increase in call volume from 1969 to 2023 and a population growth of over 1 million, the LAFD's staffing and infrastructure have remained relatively stagnant. This mismatch has contributed to increasing response times and stretched resources, public and professional perspectives. Mayor Bass defended the budget, emphasizing that the extreme weather conditions were the primary factor behind the recent wildfires' devastation. At a news conference, she stated, "The impact of our budget really did not affect what we've been going through over the last few days." Nevertheless, local firefighters union president Freddie Escobar highlighted the tangible impacts of budget cuts. Reduced staffing and a lack of maintenance funding have left essential equipment idle, while limited overtime resources hinder proactive measures during critical weather events. According to Escobar, if we had more apparatus and more staffing, it sure would have given us a better chance. Conclusion. The debate over the LAFD budget illustrates the intricate balancing act of municipal finance during challenging economic times. While budgetary constraints have undeniably placed pressure on the department, the ferocity of recent wildfires also underscores the unpredictable challenges of climate-driven disasters. Moving forward, addressing the LAFD's structural and funding needs will be essential to enhancing its capacity to protect Los Angeles effectively. This report reflects an analysis of the ongoing budget discussions and operational realities faced by the Los Angeles Fire Department. It serves to provide a comprehensive perspective for policymakers, stakeholders, and the public. And that brings us to the end of tonight's broadcast on Latest Global News TV. As always, we're committed to keeping you informed with accurate, timely reporting on the stories that matter most. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. I'm Daniel Brown, wishing you a safe and peaceful evening. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Latest Global News TV.